Welcome to the Command Center Podcast. I'm Logan Paulson here with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss, and we, as always, have a very, very special show for you today. We are going to air an episode of Hail Tales talking about the Monday Night Miracle. So we figured this would be a great opportunity for our guy Tana just to kind of give a quick overview of maybe how he feels this connected him to the fan base here. I know every time we go out to anything, people are like, Monday Night Miracle.
Cowboy Killer.
Yes. I mean, yeah. So how does this feel?
I think Monday Night Miracle basically stamped me as the Cowboy Killer before I even got going at, having those bigger games. I think that game, think about it. If your first game ever against a team in your division was a game that actually...
That was the first game
my first time ever playing against the Cowboys in that division.
No kidding. Yeah.
So it was the first time in the rivalry of me being introduced to the rivalry, I had a performance like that. So prematurely, I was stamped a Cowboy Killer, and almost every time I got to face them, that was the pressure I was carrying. Like I had to really go out there and have big performances. But I love the fact that in all the memories of the fans, when it comes to just rich history we have as a team, and they bring up that as their Super Bowl. Yeah. So that's what I get. That's the gratification I get out of it.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool, really exciting. And again, like it's such an iconic moment here for the franchise, for the fan base. Love it. Fred, do you have any? Were you here?
I renamed it. No, I was looking from afar. I was in Minnesota.
Fred just had left that time.
Yeah, I just left. So I call it not the Monday Night Miracle. I call it the Monday Night Massacre. Because if I'm watching it, of course I'm pulling for Washington at this time. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh man, we finna lose this game, man. Time running out. It looked like it wasn't a chance. And then I see Tanner burning a coach. He burned Coach Aaron Glenn.
Dude, how crazy is that?
Like, listen to me. I'm like, this dude a bully. He out here burning these old men. And then not once did they, I was like, okay, he ran past him once. They ain't gonna let it happen no more. And he ran past him again. Yeah. And I could not
the whole dynamic there is pretty wild. Yeah. Like that happened in such a short time frame. It's basically the same play, right?
Yeah. Well, no, one of them was a post corner post. The other one was just a straight post. You know what I mean? But I think too, man, when you think about it, and this is something that a lot of football players can probably contest to, is just, or haven't had that experience. You visualize yourself having big performances, but you couldn't imagine in a million years to have one like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know how many times I done visualized myself having a big game and had a big game, but I never had a game that just ended like that. Like you took the game over, and I don't even want credit for saying I took the game over because it took a lot for us to have that moment. Defensively had to make stops. Quarterback had to get the ball up. So, but just to be on the other side of catching that pass and being the guy to score those touchdowns, man, it's just meeting the world, and that's why I walk so my head high.
Did you feel like you was in a zone? You know how we get in the zone?
I feel like I was Mario, and I got the damn mushroom.
Like, cause sometimes you be on the field and can't feel like nobody can stop you.
It's the same feeling I felt numerous of times. The one time, it was a time after that, the next year against Jacksonville. Like, it's like, no matter what they throw up at you, you're going to come down with it.
By the way.
You know what I mean? So that I had that feeling.
So Jason helps out on that show too. You're a producer, right, Jason?
Yes.
Is that a fair way to?
Yeah, producer and editor.
And so obviously they heard Tana's perspective. Who else are we going to hear about from the episode?
Sean Springs. On there, your guy there. Nick Novak kicked the extra point to Tana's touchdown there. That was his first game.
No kidding.
All right, nice.
How about him and Tana? Yeah. Obviously bigger game for Tana, but
coaches that were on the sideline with you, Tana. Tell them about how Tana would, like, what it was, your attitude was like in the game, and like,
I was pissed off.
I was I don't think I've told you this, Tana, but I was a kid when this was happening, or younger.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
Oh,
and,
weird.
Sorry, and I would watch games with my dad, and I don't know, I didn't get this from my dad, but I would watch every game until the whistle blew, until the clock hit 0. I never gave up. I don't know, maybe I hadn't been
burned too
many times yet, but my father had, so he was like, I'm going to bed. So he went to bed, and when you caught that touchdown, I started screaming, and my dad thought something was wrong. So he comes out. I'm like, no, this guy Moss. This guy Moss. And then we watched the rest of the game together. It was like a bonding moment for me and my dad.
Cool,
just a good football memory for us. Yeah. But you provided that.
But that was my intro, man, to DC. And I mean, the rest was history. I was on a high for the
play. What intro
for the next 10 years.
What an intro.
This is all I remember.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, It's a great episode.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's always cool to hear from Tana, but I think it's also cool to hear those other perspectives.
Yeah,
around
other
it.
people
That kinda,
talk about
it's
it. Yeah.
cool to hear Jason's perspective
Yeah.
and why it's so important for the city of DC. And that's up right now.
Crowd rising. Dallas defense pitching a shutout, 13-0.
Tons had turned off their televisions. Under 5 minutes remained in the fourth quarter of a Week 2 primetime showdown between Washington and Dallas. The air is hot and thick in the domed Texas Stadium. Cowboys are on top, 13-0.
He's like a great relief pitcher who comes in with the lead, and if he has a 13 or more point lead anytime in the fourth quarter, 77-0.
The Burgundy and Gold hadn't won in Dallas in a decade. In his entire Hall of Fame career, Dallas head coach Bill Parcells had never lost when leading by 13 or more points anytime during a fourth quarter.
And I'll tell you, we have seen some improbable wins through these years. This was only a 13-0 game, but this would rank right up there in terms of improbability.
A killer born. The heart of a team revealed. What happens is one of the most exciting, one of the most memorable spectacles in the last 25 years of Washington football. This is Hail Tales, stories from Washington football history. The Monday Night Miracle. Heading into the 2005 season, there were embers of hope smoldering in Washington. A year earlier, the legendary Joe Gibbs had come out of retirement to become head coach of the team again. All-pro defensive back Sean Springs remembers the crescendo of optimism in Ashburn.
Well, I think it started with 04, where, it was a whole bunch of free agents, myself, Marcus Washington, Clinton Porter, scattered, traded from Denver to Washington. We had pretty good group of free agents that came in Coach Gibbs' first year. So he had pretty much changed over the whole organization and team. And we had a rough 2004, but we felt like we were building on something. 2005, we had 1 year under that belt with being with Coach Gibbs. We had a great offseason, great spring.
Springs was part of a Washington defense led by defensive coordinator Greg Williams that had all the talent, toughness, and discipline. The unit in 2005 featured other difference makers like Sean Taylor.
It is intercepted by Sean Taylor, his second pick today.
Sean Taylor, my guy Taylor. This Sean Taylor at the knockout punch, baby. Wow.
LeVar Arrington.
Takes a big hit from LeVar Arrington.
Whoa, did he hit? Yes, he did.
And Marcus Washington.
We gotta get excited about kicking and making plays.
Where most of the questions swirled was around the other side of the ball. Former Washington beat writer Jason La Canfora explains.
Really, for me, it was about, is this going to be a modern NFL offense or isn't it? Are they going to be able to produce an offense that's even close enough to league average to allow what had been a really good defense to kind of lead them somewhere? Could they be a playoff team, a wild card-ish team?
Moves were made in the offseason to ramp up the offense. Quarterbacks coach Bill Musgrave joined the staff, adding the shotgun formation to Washington's playbook. Left tackle Chris Samuels was given a contract that included the richest signing bonus in franchise history. And a very important weapon was added to Washington's wide receiver room.
Wide receiver Lavernius Coles traded to the Jets for Santana Moss. In Moss, the Redskins obtain an explosive wide receiver with blazing speed, who is also a dynamic punt returner. We're excited to have Santana Moss. Vice President Vinny Serrato said yesterday, he's been a touchdown maker and he has great speed.
Just looking at that season as a whole, 2003 to 2004, I was trending upward, especially still on my rookie deal. And I remember coming into the season in 04 with perhaps an agreement, a verbal agreement with my agent and the ownership of, hey, we're going to take care of Tanner, probably before the season or while the season going on. And then all of a sudden, 360, things change. So to get into the off season after a playoff berth, that would have been my third playoff appearance in 4 years. And to hear that I'm about to be traded, I was scratching my head, but at the same time, when I understood what was going on, I was ecstatic about the opportunity and just knowing that I had some guys over here in Washington that I couldn't wait to play with again.
The storylines about Washington's offense and defense would be underscored in the team's season-opening win against the Bears.
Everything expected. Close defensive battle.
Certainly offensive numbers except for Portis, 121 yards. Not a lot to look at, but the Skins win the game.
No touchdowns scored by Washington. Defense was the star of the show. And the task ahead would only be tougher.
Anytime you going to Dallas or you playing the Cowgirls, it gets even more intensified.
Clinton Portis, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, two-time Pro Bowler, member of Washington's 90 Greatest.
The city is kind of electric, especially coming off a win. So the city electric, everybody, Cowboys week, Cowboys week.
People ask, what do you miss about the NFL not being there? It's that rivalry.
Joe Gibbs, three-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, and coach of that 2005 team.
As much as when you say Redskins and Cowboys, nobody's on the fence. You're one or the other. That's what makes, I think, the NFL really special, because you do build up rivalries. And that comes from playing somebody twice a year.
And in this era of the rivalry, two renowned coaches were facing off in Gibbs and Dallas's Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells, to me, was, I think, one of the most talented guys to ever coach in the NFL. I had great respect for him. I laugh. I said, now, sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night with a nightmare, it's Bill Parcells. I thought he was really gifted as a coach. Didn't like going against Parcells. And when he was with the Giants, we had some classic battles. And then I said, it's the worst thing that happened. Now they get him coaching the Cowboys. I said, that's not a good thing.
So the stage was set. Week 2 of the 2005 season. Washington heads to Dallas for a showdown at the iconic Texas Stadium.
It was different. I mean, even though the stadium was considered old at that time, it was star-studded. I mean, you can honestly feel a different energy in the building when you're there. The way it was set up, the way it looked. I mean, just the arrival alone, how the fans greeted you. It was like you was coming into a place where you wasn't liked, and the fans let you know out the gate. But beyond that, it's just when you enter that stadium, when you saw that big star in the middle of the field, you knew this is what I watched before, as a kid, man, watching big games being played in this stadium.
The pregame buzz was particularly amplified for kicker Nick Novak.
My first NFL game was a Monday night game.
Novak, a Charlottesville, Virginia native who had played at the University of Maryland, had just been signed a couple days earlier, after spending time on Dallas's practice squad.
Getting the opportunity to go from Maryland to now the Washington Redskins was a rare opportunity, I think. Not a whole lot of guys, I think, could play for their hometown team. And I even stayed in Ashburn with my cousins, stayed at their house. So I'd be close to home. It was during the season, so I got picked up, and it was didn't know where I was going to stay. Definitely heard what the neighbors had to think about the game and all that stuff after every game, so that was fun. But yeah, I knew it was everything to try to beat that team, and I'm sure if I stayed on the Cowboys back in preseason, it'd be the opposite thing.
Here we go, the end of week number 2. Tyson Thompson, a great-looking rookie out of San Jose State, maybe the fastest guy on the team. Nick Novak just signed as a kicker because John Hall is hurt, to put it in the air, and the Cowboys will take it from the 7-yard line.
The game does not start off well for Washington. Former center Casey Raback remembers.
Offensively, we were just flat. We really were. It wasn't from lack of preparation or anything like that. It just came out flat, just kind of not in tune with each other. We couldn't get the run game going. The passing game was non-existent. Protection-wise, we were horrible up front.
This drive started at the Washington 31-yard line. Brunell out of the shotgun, a formation that Washington did not use at all last year. And maybe that's one of the reasons. Brunell loves the shotgun, but Dan Wynn was able to blitz. They did not run a single play out of the shotgun last year, and their first play is that. 2nd and 16. Here's Brunell out of the shotgun, slings it to the outside. It's intercepted by Newman at the 40-yard line, and Newman will set Dallas up in great field position at the beginning of the second quarter, because that's the play that ends the first period.
A lot of the stuff that we practiced, we weren't doing.
Dallas gets on the board with a field goal in the second quarter.
The entire first half, it's like we in one of those matches. You know, it's a grudge match, and, you know, one of us going to come out on top.
We knew that we could keep, any week we played, we could keep us in the game, right? Regardless if the offense scored 30 points, if it scored 12. We weren't going to give up a lot of points.
Double slot to the right, shotgun here. Bledsoe, 3rd down and 8, throws over the middle, and that's caught but shy of the first down, as Sean Springs made sure Jason Witten doesn't get the first down, and Dallas is forced to punt.
Yeah, that's one thing that really impresses me with these Washington Redskin corners, is that they're good tacklers. On the play before, we saw Walt Harris make a good open field tackle, and then on that one, Sean Springs make a good open field tackle.
At halftime, the score is 3-0 Cowboys.
Well, Al, I spoke to both coaches at the half, starting with Joe Gibbs. I asked him about his defense being on the field almost 17 minutes in the first half. In this heat, he said the reason for that, turnovers. We turned the ball over twice. For his offense, struggling to move the ball in the first half, he said we have to do a better job with the ball. As for Bill Parcells, he said, hey, we are struggling just like they are, despite having the edge in time of possession and decent field position. He said we've slowed down a bit. We got to get a running game going.
It wasn't like, I wonder what amazing, halftime adjustments they were going to make. It was more like, can anybody take advantage of a busted coverage and make a play? Like, can somebody catch a screen pass out in the flat and catch a couple blocks and get 50 yards at yak and turn nothing into something? Like, the bar was set pretty low.
Dallas pulls even further ahead in the third quarter.
1st and 20, little toss back to Bledsoe from Jones, and out in front is Terry Glenn for the touchdown.
That game was so disappointing because really there wasn't much for a Redskin fan to cheer for in that game.
Although down by 10 and struggling to put points on the board, Washington still is within striking distance. And there was a belief that this team could still turn the game around.
I never give up. Anything could happen. The only thing especially for us back in that day, it's like, man, we need to get a turnover or we just need to score to get points on the board. And again, it was one of those situations when you got Tanner, you got Cooley, myself. It was always, hey man, like somebody can make a play. And then, having Sean T or having the defense that we had at the time, like anybody could make the play, but it was kind of on us. We always took that like as a challenge.
In the fourth, Dallas adds a field goal. Washington is down 13-0.
Amazingly, when you went to the sideline, you never felt the panic button pushed, and guys still believed, guys still were into the game, and had faith that we're going to win this game somehow, some way.
I took my helmet off and I had this frown on my face, and then that's when Portis walked up.
Tanner was kind of hot. We were on the sideline, couldn't get nothing going. I'm asking Tanner, like, man, like, what's up? You got this crazy look on your face, you know what I mean? And he just like, in old Tanner way, like, man, we've been practicing and they ain't even calling it. Like, what the fuck we practicing for?
Don't get me wrong, it's never been about me. I mean, any team I played on, I wouldn't even mention that I'm not getting the ball if the ball didn't come my way, because I believe everybody has a job, and I shouldn't never have to tell a coach or coaches that your number one receiver needs to get the ball.
Santana Man, we call him Tana Man, 8'9", he won't speak up for himself. He will not, he's not the typical receiver where he'll be like, throw me the damn ball or I'm gonna quit. He's not that guy. He won't do that. He'll just be like, sitting on the bench or whatever. And I saw CP talking to him.
And I just went and told coach, like, man, Tanner said he can get the safety. Like, let's run XYZ.
And then here you go, Coach Gibbs come back and like, hey, you want to run the Dino if we get the ball back? And I'm like, I look up at the clock, and no disrespect, I didn't want to be disrespectful, so I'm like, sure, coach. Like, I had a look on my face like, now you want to throw this ball to me?
Washington does get the ball back.
2nd and 10. From the 38, pressure on Brunell, and then you've got Roy Williams coming in free. There's a good chance you're going to see a sack, and that's what happens here.
Mark Mia got sacked either on 2nd down or 3rd down, somewhere on there. And I think Mark said something. I remember him saying something in the huddle when we huddled up after that one to the effect of get your head out of your let's go win this game.
Under 4 minutes left to play. 4th and 15.
Crowd rising. Dallas defense pitching a shutout, 13-0. They have to get to the 24-yard line to convert. Brunell hanging in, going deep, and a pass is caught for a touchdown by Santana Moss.
And boom, the first touchdown was strong. It was a Dino route that I had, saw previously ran by Marvin Harrison when he was playing in Indy against Aaron Glenn, when Aaron Glenn played with me in New York. And so I was a young pup watching Marvin Harrison run this route. And it was always closer to the end zone. Coach said, hey, what the heck, Tanner can run, let's just run it from wherever we at on the field. Like, if you look at that play over and look how close it was for me not making that catch. Like, I believe Roy Williams was right there. If he would have just lunged it and took the pass interference, I'd probably get hit, the ball probably bounce off of both of us, and it's no catch. But Roy didn't want the pass interference call, so he just kind of like swiped at my hand, and boom, the ball fit perfectly. Great pass throw by Mark Brunell, and I come jog or trot to the sideline, and everybody kind of like, it's like a breath of fresh air now on our sideline. And Coach Gibbs like, hey, like, I guess this kid know what he's talking about.
Damn, he caught it. Like, he scored. We back in it. So then it was like, defense, get up. We just need to stop. And everybody was just like re-energized, and we just went out there and did our thing.
Timeouts plus the 2-minute warning left for Washington. You think that the way Parcells has played through the years, he loves to play clock ball, he's had the running game, but tonight that Washington defense has stymied Dallas. You've got Jones carrying 19 times for 65 yards, only 2.9 per rush tonight for Dallas.
The defense holds strong. Dallas is forced to punt.
McBrier's punt is too deep. And that will come out to the 20-yard line. So they'll have to go 80 yards in 2:52.
Now the game is closer. Our offense getting the ball back. We weren't, we had that one big explosive play. And you're thinking, all right, Dallas is going to wake up now. All right. They've been playing good defense all game.
Washington has the ball. Under 3 minutes left. On the first play of the drive, Brunell dumps the ball off to Portis for 10 yards. 1st and 10 on Washington's 30-yard line.
Yeah, this is when you find out about your offense and defense. I mean, this is what good offense is, when you can make plays in this situation. Good defense is when you can stop those plays.
From the 30, Brunell going deep for Moss again. He makes the catch, and Santana Moss for a touchdown. Wow!
Unbelievable.
It wasn't the same play, but it was, coach was like, what, they're playing flat-footed back there. I see Roy Williams want to play up in the box more so than he want to be a deep safety. So, and just from where the corner was playing me, he was out wide and he was deep. So I'm like, I knew right then there's some kind of bracket going on against, for me, just basically saying, all right, both of us got them. We're going to disguise this in a way to where it looks like we play in one position, but we both have them. And so the second touchdown was just a post route, a deep post. And being the receiver that I am, I was looking at the lineman and I say, instead of me running this with the angle that I would normally give it, I'm going to run cheating a little more towards the safety so I can already give myself a good jump away from the DB, the cornerback. And by the time I put my foot in the ground, that means I would be on top of the safety because he's already flat. So I angled towards the safety more so than straight up the field. So when I put my foot in the ground, the safety won't have a clear cut to come, ring my bell. So by doing that, when I was able to get on him, gain ground, and knowing Roy Williams wasn't going to back up, by the time I took that, I guess I was counting in my head, probably my 12th step. When I put that foot in the ground and go to the post, normally when you have a deep post, you're telling yourself, by my second count, my second step out of that post, out of that initial plant, the ball should be in the air. When I planted, I was like, in my head, I'm like 1, 2, and I'm getting ready to say 3 to look back now for the ball was coming down. So I'm like, Mark Brunell, the genius of Mark Brunell, he just knew Tanner's gonna beat him. So let me get this ball up high and with an arc and quick. And he did so, man, and it made it simple enough for me, or it made it easier for me to be able to catch it without having to worry about Aaron Glenn coming into the picture at the last minute. If you go back and watch it, Aaron Glenn's hand just barely misses it. So being that Mark Brunell put it up with a perfect time and just knew where I was going to be at, man, it was like you would have thought me and Mark Brunell had been doing that all summer long.
Come out again, Mark throws the bomb to Santana, and you're like, what? Like this? Where was this for the first 3 quarters? Why wait till the end to give everybody a heart attack? And then when Santana caught it and ran it in, I just remember him spinning the ball, his classic Santana man spinning the ball.
13-13. Nick Novak steps up to hopefully kick the game-winning extra point in his first ever NFL game.
Extra point's a little different now. Back then, it's, if you're kicking from the 10-yard line, so it's only a 20-yard trip shot. And, now it's from the 33, so you get a 33-yard field goal now. But, it's just normal routine. It's pretty common to be close to 100% on field goal or extra point accuracy from that range. So I wasn't worried about missing, or any of those thoughts weren't creeping in my mind. It was just get the job done.
And Novak bangs one through in his NFL debut. So with 2:35 remaining in regulation, it's now 14-13.
The job gets done on that part of special teams. Novak is then called into action in a different capacity just seconds later.
So on this night, when the crowd, and they're always into the Redskins and the Cowboys, had things in hand, and all of a sudden, in a dogfight, down by 1, Tyson Thompson is back to return the kick. Novak sends it skyward. It comes down to the 2-yard line. This is the rookie Tyson Thompson. Up past the 20, that big burst of speed, and Novak, the kicker, makes the tackle at midfield.
I was able to stop him, and it was for sure going to be a touchdown.
A touchdown prevented, but Dallas does get great field position for a chance to rip the victory from Washington's hands.
The really intense thing for me was then we had to stop them on the drive. I got to tell you, I was so uptight. Those are the things that I just wonder sometimes how fast was my heart beating, because you are so wrapped up in that.
And now you're down to to one last play, barring a pass interference call, which could also set up a field goal. And they'll throw it underneath, and it's Jones, and he'll lateral the ball to Glenn. And Glenn will look to lateral it, but can't, and that's the way the ball game will end.
After that, you looked at their sideline and just pure defeat. It was freaking awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
It means so much. It means so much to the fan base, to everybody that pulls for the Redskins in those days. All those people, to be able to celebrate that is just, it's one of the great thrills in life.
That odds-defying, heart-stopping win showed who Washington was and where this team could go.
I think that game was like, we needed that. We needed that. We needed that win.
I think it kind of brought our team together.
That year was magical. You know, that team, you know, we really fought and went through games that year. I don't know if you can consider or call that game one of the starting points to us knowing that we was pretty good.
And it was just one of those tough teams that we knew we had bought into Coach Gibbs and staff, just like, hey, Greg Williams gonna call it tough as defense, a tough game. You're gonna hit people, and offensively, we gonna grind it out. We coming down here. So it was like everybody had bought into our identity, and we knew who we were. Like that lump, we gonna leave lumps on you. That's what Coach Gibbs used to say. We gonna leave some lumps on you. We know you played us.
For Santana Moss, the performance immediately endeared him to his new city.
2 touchdowns within 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 big bombs, and that created the Cowboy Killer.
That's the way you want to be recognized. That's the way you want to tell them, like, this is what you're getting, you know. And I think that's what I was more pleased with than anything. I didn't care about how we won it, how I went into both of those games, week 1 and week 2, of like, I'm finna show you who the Santana Moss is.
Like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for more Hail Tales episodes this summer. This episode of Hail Tales was narrated, produced, and researched by me, Hannah Lichtenstein, senior copywriter for the Washington Commanders. It was produced and edited by Jason Johnson, edited by Nick Lianos. Executive producers are Ryan Yoakum and Kevin Klein. Additional voiceover help comes from Bram Weinstein. Graphics designed by Zach Osborne and Matt Cashman. Thank you to our guests for their contributions, and thank you for listening.